Beloved, welcome back to the channel. I'm here holding my new baby that I was gifted for my birthday. This is a Martin Rhodes series in African Sapele, which is like a cheaper mahogany. Her name's Josephine. She is very warm, very delicate, a little restrictive when you strum hard on her, but she doesn't take a lot to get this nice, beautiful, like warm sound out of her. It genuinely feels like you're being wrapped in a blanket. If you have been following the channel for a minute, you might know that I have little guitar intros, and I'm going to actually show you the guitar that I recorded those ones on prior. My first baby, this is Genevieve. She is a Seagull Heart of Wild Cherry AC1 5T. You'll hear that she is quite a lot brighter, quite a lot louder, and that's due to the wood materials as well as the body shape. This is a larger and thicker guitar than the Martin, but I've had this guitar now for I think around 13 years, and I love her. Prior to getting the Martin, I didn't think I could ever need another one, and to be fair, I didn't, but it was a very nice surprise, and I love them both very dearly. So I thought I'd introduce you to these on the channel because I've been playing a lot more, and it's fun to have different options kind of based on what I'm looking to play. If I'm looking to play something a little softer, if I'm looking to kind of to get a little louder, I have this baby. So these are my girls, and I love them, and I hope you guys do too. Beloved, welcome back to the channel. For real this time. Life's been crazy hectic the past month. You know what is not crazy hectic? A Brent Stryker Talks a Lot video. So this is something I wanted to do when I made the first bookshelf showcase, because obviously having kind of this main one, things get filtered in, things get filtered out. And so this is, like I said in my first video, this is kind of like the main splay of what I am feeling, what I got going on in my life and everything. So I thought we'd do a little update on what it looks like in here. A lot of these books you've already seen if you've watched my previous videos, but yeah, I just thought I'd give you a update of how the shelf is now. So let's do that. So if we start up here at the very top of the bookshelf, you'll notice some iconography as well as up on the walls. This is kind of like the makeshift prayer corner. This is very central in my house. And it's just kind of where it landed. Eventually, I'd like to have a bit of a more established prayer corner. But for now, this does, you know, and you might be like, hey, what is this icon of Christ the Good Shepherd resting on? Let me show you. So right here we have all my Everyman's editions of Dostoevsky's works, almost complete. I'm missing notes from Underground, but the book is so expensive for so little book, and I'm just waiting to kind of find it in the used marketplace. So I have these arranged from order of thickness of the book. So from the left side we have The Double and the Gambler, two short stories by Dostoevsky. I've not read either of these. I've heard The Double is not that great. I've heard The Gambler is all right. And then we have the Notes from a Dead House. I've tried reading this book like 3 or 4 times and just have not finished it, but eventually, Lord willing, I will. And then we have The Adolescent, also translated as A Raw Youth. I feel like this is a very overlooked Dostoevsky work. No one really talks about it, but apparently it's fantastic. And it's his only book, I believe, that is written from a first-person perspective, which is the perspective of Arkady Dolgozhevsky. And then after that, we have Crime and Punishment, front runner for maybe one of the best books ever written. And then after that, we have The Idiot. I would like to get this book in a different translation because I think the Pavir and Volohansky translation kind of dampened my reading of it. I still enjoyed it, but it was a messy book that Dostoevsky wrote. a messy time in his life, and I think a little bit more of a clearer translation would help get the story across a lot better. And then we have Demons. I love this book. I think everyone should read this book. This is another one that I feel is a little underrated. And then we have The Shining and Glorious, Brothers Karamazov. This is the one book I recommend to everyone I know. I say if you read one book in your lifetime, it ought to be this one if you aren't reading the Bible. So, yeah, those are all up here between these two nice globe bookends that actually move, which is really cool. Nice little Facebook Marketplace find. And then we have, icons of the creation of the world, as well as Saint Seraphim of Sarov, who I believe was alive during Dostoevsky's time. So that's him with a bear. And then when we come down from there, we have the rest of my Everyman's books. You will notice that all of these are unsleeved. I kind of like them that way. But the main reason is I buy almost all of these used. So the sleeves either don't come with the books or they are destroyed. So starting over on the leftmost side here, we actually have two little pocket classics, right? I think that's what these are called. Pocket poets. We have Mr. Coleridge, excellent poet from back in his time, best friends with Wordsworth. I got this for the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, because I know that Cormac McCarthy and numerous other writers reference this poem. I have not read it yet. This was a birthday gift from my beloved mother, so thank you. And it's this nice little like burgundy color, kind of purplish. And then right next to him, we have poems by Robert Frost. I have dipped my toes into this one. I've mentioned it on the channel before. I like to dabble in maybe poetry, and my aunt said, hey, you really write like this guy. So I thought I'd check him out. I have no idea if I actually do or not, but I do like his poems. Very, very cute. A lot of them are. So yeah, Robert Frost. And then next to that, we have the New and the Old Testament. Oh goodness, hair. Oh, also, excuse this. This is these markings. That's caulk, and that's from work. I'm a metal roofer. So next to that, as I was saying, we have the New and the Old Testament, which are both in the King James Version, which is arguably the most beautiful translation of the Bible, maybe the most beautiful translation in human existence. Then next to that, we have Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I really want to read this. However, my wife is obsessed with the movie and watches it maybe once every other week or once a week. So the reason I haven't read this one yet is because it's like, it is so similar to the movie. And I love the movie, but I have more Jane Austen on the way down on the lower levels that I could get to if I'm in the mood for it. We have Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I believe this has a few other stories in it as well. A few other short stories by him as well. Then next to that, we have George Eliot's Silas Marner. Short little work. I've heard such great things about Middlemarch, and what is probably best with most authors is to not ever jump into their grandest or biggest novels in length, just in case you don't really understand or have a flow for how they write or anything. So eventually, I would read that if I'm planning on reading Middlemarch, but for right now, it's not really in the cards. But I've heard it's a great book, so eventually I would love to get to it. Then we have Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. I was reading this one. I got quite a bit in. I was reading that during the fall season, but ended up putting it down. But will more than likely make a return to it. And we have Herman Melville's Complete Shorter Fiction. This book is chock full of all this other stuff that Melville wrote. Like it has Billy Budd Sailor in here, and it has just a ton of short stories that he wrote. This is another case where it's like you should probably read a lot of these prior to jumping into Moby Dick, so that way you have kind of a clear picture of Melville and the way he writes. And then right next to that, we have Melville's Moby Dick. This is a book I own 3 copies of and have not finished at one time. I have gotten pretty far. like about halfway before putting it down. It is a book, again, I think everyone would like to read. Then we have Pushkin's collected short stories. I really would like to read Pushkin because I understand his influence on Russian literature. However, I am just not the greatest fan of plays or short stories, to be honest, at least right now. So that one's probably waiting. And that's also goes for Ivan Turgenev's Sportsman's Notebook. Also, the Sportsman's Sketches, I believe, is what it's translated sometimes. Then right next to that, we have Anton Chekhov's the complete short novels. And you might be like, well, Brent, didn't one of his short novels in here get put on your top 5 reads of last year? And it's like, yes, it did. That is a rare case that I actually read it. And then next to that, we have Edgar Allan Poe's The Complete Stories. Again, kind of the same thing. But I think when fall comes around, I want to dig into him a little bit more. And then we'll stop right there. Prior to that, on top, just because this is the easiest place to put them when I'm done with them, I have the Orthodox Study Bible, the Holy Bible with the Greek Septuagint text in it, as well as an Orthodox Christian prayers book as well, resting up here. That's just because they're easy to grab. So then next to that, we have This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Again, found it used. I actually got this at a bookstore out in Oregon last year, or not last year, 2 years ago. Geez, time is flying. And then we have Franz Kafka's Collected Stories. This has hits like The Metamorphoses in it and a bunch of other good ones. Then we have his novel The Castle, which I really, really wanted to read. But Kafka, I don't know if it's Kafka or the guy who edited his works after he passed away, they don't start a new paragraph when a new person talks. And this is a 100% a me thing, but I got annoyed. I got a little triggered reading it. I was like, man, it feels discombobulated when there's like 4 different people talking within the same paragraph. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, eventually I will get to it. And then we have Solzhenitsyn's Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. For those of you who know, he wrote the Gulag Archipelago trilogy books and a few other works, I believe, as well. But this one is like a little fiction short story. Then next to that, we have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I got torn apart in my Everyman's video for saying that that's kind of a spooky read, despite the fact I also prefaced it by saying that I knew nothing about it, but I knew it was kind of like a weird read, But now that I know about it, I can kind of understand. But yeah, the next to that we have Albert Camus' The Plague, The Fall, Exile in the Kingdom. This also has the Myth of Sisyphus in there, which I've dabbled a little bit in, which is an essay by him. And then we have the Border Trilogy by Cormac McCarthy, which is maybe the best trilogy ever written. And that is coming from a guy who has never read another trilogy, unless you consider Lord of the Rings a trilogy, but also is not a fan of trilogies. So the fact that those stand out so highly, I think it's because they're so different in their tones and their themes and subjects between the books. But then it all compiles together at the end. It's very nice. I have to be on the floor for this section. Also, I just recorded more than half the shelf and then realized I should probably be pulling the books out and showing them instead of just pointing at them. Make it a little more engaging for you guys. I didn't do it with the Everymans because there's nothing to really see on the fronts or sides of them because they are just cloth-bound books. But down here, we're going to do that. So, take 2. Over here, we have Dostoevsky's A Writer in His Time by Joseph Frank. I've talked about this before. I've taken little bites out of it, but it's kind of an intimidating book. The text is very small, and there is just a lot in here. And I mean, the book is massive in itself, but I think, in time I'll get through this. Just taking it kind of slowly, learning about Dostoevsky's life and kind of the happenings in Russia and everything. So, also, a woman from my church told me I looked like young Dostoevsky, and she was like, it's not a compliment, but I took it as one. So, I mean, if you saw a picture of my dad, you'd think it's like the same thing. Next to that, we have Notes from Underground, The Double, and Other Stories. These are just Constance Garnett translated short stories in here. This has things like White Nights and hold on, table of contents. It says things like White Knights, The Meek One, The Dream of a Ridiculous Man, all very fantastic short stories by Dostoevsky. And this was incredibly cheap. Yeah, $10, and you get plenty of reading material. Then next to that, we have Devils by Dostoevsky. This is the same thing as Demons. It's just depending on the translation, they will use a different name for it. This is actually the edition I read, and it is fantastic. Michael Katz is a translator I think I will return to sooner than later. I really like the way he translated things, and it's got a very good flow, and I feel like you get a lot out of it. Like you can see the humor and stuff like that, which I think gets lost a lot in translation. So thank you, Michael Katz. And then next to that, we have the Karamazov Brothers by Ignat Avzi. Again, I didn't mention it in this clip. You might be like, why, Brent, do you have so many of the same Dostoevsky books? One is the different materials, so like paperback, hardcover type thing, but also it's a big thing to do with translation. And I think every time I revisit Dostoevsky books, which I think for the rest of my life will be a constant reoccurrence, I would like to try out the new different translations and kind of see which one maybe fits well with me. Because it's like you're still getting the same story, but it's just kind of the tone and the feel, the vibes, if you will, of the book. So yeah, that's why I got this. Plus I love these Oxford University edition ones. They are so nice and so affordable. Then we have Dostoevsky's Memoirs from the House of the Dead. This is the same thing as Notes from a Dead House. This was kind of an impulse buy a little while ago, which I'm trying to stop doing right now because this is a repeated example of a book I own multiple copies of, yet have not finished it. So yeah, don't be like me. Don't be like me. 2025, we're not consuming as much. We're gonna read what we have. And then next to that, we have Joseph Conrad's Typhoon and Other Tales. I read Heart of Darkness last year and was just so taken away by Joseph Conrad's prose and the way he writes. I thought it was very eloquent, and very beautiful. So I ordered this collection of short stories from him, which I have yet to dip into at all, which I feel like is such a big problem with readers nowadays, and maybe readers throughout all histories. We like to acquire things and then let them sit, but sometimes that's what makes them more magical. Then next to that, we have Valery Grossman's Stalingrad and Life and Fate. My plan is, as soon as winter hits and my work schedule slows down, life as itself slows down here in Michigan, I will be reading both of these books more than likely back to back. It will probably be a struggle, but I think like the winter time is the best time, as long as you don't catch like the winter blues, because I tried to do that last year and that happened. But I think this is the best time to kind of work through like these massive novels, because right now with summer approaching and my work ramping up in hours and everything, I don't see myself wanting to be invested in something like this. But when I have a little more time on my hands, a little more energy to spare, I will definitely get to these because I've heard such great things about them and I think about them all the time. Then next to that, we have Frangie Bengston's The Long Ships. I tried to read this. You see, I got like 25 pages in. But much like The Castle by Franz Kafka, there was something in the writing that just annoyed me. And in this book, it was the use of commas. Being a massive Cormac McCarthy fan, someone who hyper limits the use of commas, it forces himself to create a sentence that flows nicely. And it is such a problem that I read all of his books back to back to back to back, and have reread a lot of his books, where it's stuff like that, where it's like there's a comma, you take that pause in your mind, and if it's like there is a couple times where every single sentence on a page had 3 or 4 commas in it, and that just was like, yeah, it's a little too much for me. But you know, maybe in time we will get back there. I'm just a little picky. The next to that, we have Warlock by Oakley Hall, probably a soon to be read book. I've been wanting to read a Western. I've been wanting to read a Western for a little bit here. I feel like those books are always like super nice palate cleansers. Lord have mercy. Palate cleansers for me. I just think there's always a good time, but the fact that the grass is green right now and the sun is out and it's getting warmer, what better time to read about the hot Western life? This is one I've heard is very fantastic and kind of the first almost anti-Western book, which I love. Then next to that, we have All for Nothing by Walter Kompowski. I picked this up in a used bookstore one day after work, and I just was kind of interested by what it talked about on the back, despite the fact that this is a New York Review Books classic. This was written in 2006, but I've heard good things about Walter. I'm not trying to be like I can't read modern books, but it's just my my nature. Every author on my shelf is dead. So every fiction author, I should say, on my shelf is dead. So would like to read this one eventually, when I'm in the mood. But that's all of reading. Next to that, we have Turgenev's Father and Sons. This is a really fun one. I don't know if fun is the right word, but it's just a little over 200 pages, or exactly 200 pages. This covers a lot of the same things that Devils or Demons does by Dostoevsky. Some people say it covers them better. I am not that people, but this was a really good book. Just kind of documenting and explaining the generational gaps between fathers and sons. And next to that, we have Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling. I've tried to read this like 6 or 7 times. I have no idea what I'm reading. Maybe it's not the best Kierkegaard to start with, but I've heard a lot of great things about Kierkegaard. So eventually in time, I'd like to visit him. And we have Seneca's Letters from a Stoic. This is a book that I like to pop in every now and again. Just kind of get a little taste, A lot of Stoic philosophy is like super easy to implement in your life. And I feel like from as little reading as I've done from this and the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, I feel like I've imposed a lot of already good practices. So it's like, I could obviously read more and take it a little further, but it's like, I read just so little and was like, oh, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. So here we are, Seneca's Letters from a Stoic. We have, I think it's Newt Hampson's The Growth in the Soil. I was reading this one earlier this year, and again, another one I put down. I found this one for $1 at a bookstore, and I don't know, I couldn't really super get into it. It was kind of exciting at first, but then just found myself not returning to it. So usually when that happens, it's time for me to find something else. Then next to that, we have Crime and Punishment. You see this one, that spine, real beat up. I devoured this copy specifically. I thought the translation was fantastic, and I would recommend if you are going to read Crime and Punishment, the Macduff translation is probably one you should hunt for. Really stellar. Then we have Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Again, just the multiple times trying to read it. I think, okay, maybe Squid was the chapter I got to, so chapter 59, but you can see how, maybe you can see that, how dog-eared this book is, just highlighting pages or chapters or paragraphs, passages in here that just really stood out to me. It is such a shame that I can't finish this. I don't know what it is, because I love it, but it also drives me a little bonkers, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just fantastic. Like, even when I have read, it's like, this will probably be like a favorite, for the rest of my life type beat. And this is Eusebius's The History of the Church. I poked around in here a little bit. Eusebius was I believe an archbishop. Yeah, Bishop Eusebius. He was kind of like the first church historian, back in like 300 AD. So, I think this is very important. Works kind of reading about like, some of the councils, like the meetings and stuff that they had, and just general like history of the Christian faith after the coming of Christ. So we got that in here. The Account of Monte Cristo, another big tome that I am not sure when I will get to, but I've heard like for a big book, this one is incredibly easy to read. People say there are sections, I think like when he goes to London, in here that are kind of where the story falls off a little bit, but just so fat. But yeah, you can find this book for so cheap everywhere. Like I got this for I think like $6 on Amazon. I was ordering Christmas gifts for my wife and I saw this and I was like, I can get that, you know. So we have that here. A guy in a bookstore came up to me one time just out of nowhere and was like, hey, have you ever read this? This was like a year ago. I was like, no, I haven't. And he was just like, best book ever, dude. And he was like so ecstatic about it. And that's like one of the only interactions I've ever had in a bookstore where someone has like recommended me something. And it was a book I'd wanted to read, you know, but it's just like, I just always think of that guy. So I'm not going to say where I was or where he was, but yeah, thank you, buddy. So then next to that, we kind of have the start of like the theology, saints books, stuff like that, things about the church. The first book in here is Facing East, A Pilgrim's Journey into the Mysteries of Orthodoxy. I've heard really great things about this book. This book was actually gifted to me and my wife from a member of the church that we attend. Just kind of talking about this couple's journey through Lent. And I have not read this yet, but maybe we'll read it in the future. Next to that, we have this short little book called Father Herman, Alaska's Saint. Saint Herman, who I actually have an icon of up there. Super cool dude, although this is, if you're going to read about him, don't pick this up. I mean, it's a good little introduction, but there's a actual book called Herman, Alaska's Wilderness Saint that is thicker and a little like super in-depth about his travel over here and the things he did while he was here, which I would recommend reading that one instead. Next to that, we have The Institutes by St. John Cassian. 12 books on the Canoptic monasteries and the remedies for the 8 principal passions. So this covers things gluttony, covetous, anger, dejection, fornication, just kind of things that that are like kind of the basis of struggles that we have in our lives. And these are like taken from like desert monasteries and like the way that they deal with those things. So just really, really solid reading here. We have Wounded by Love, The Life and Wisdom of St. Porphyrios. Kind of a very modern day saint, actually, I believe in not the 90s. But these are just talks and things that he wrote about, and it also gives a little bit of a life story of him and where he came from and what he became to be. And we have The Truth of Our Faith on the Christian Mysteries by Elder Cleopa of Romania, who I believe is now Saint Cleopa of Romania. This just talks about the sacraments of the Orthodox Church. This actually is not my book. This is my buddy's, but he lent it to me and I still have it. So, and back behind these, we actually have this book, my elder, St. Joseph the Hesychast, who is now St. Joseph the Hesychast. This is by Elder Ephraim, who was a student of his who actually came to America and opened a bunch of monasteries in Arizona. And this is just recounting St. Joseph's life and the things he would do and kind of his ideas on everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm a solid little chunk into this one. And then next to that, we have another book that was gifted to me from a friend at church. This is The Ethics of Beauty by Dr. Timothy G. Patisas. This, as far as I'm aware, is kind of like conversations between him and another person, and I have no idea like where this book's supposed to go. He mentions in the intro like, oh, we don't actually start talking about the topic of beauty until chapter 3, and chapter 3 is 100 pages in. So what I've read so far, he's talking about kind of war and like what it does to people. The first chapter is literally titled "The Opposite of War is Not Peace." But you know, just a little philosophy, little theology. I like to dip in here and read a little bit at a time because sometimes it's a little dense, it's a little much. The last book for this shelf is Behind the Mask, a revealing look at 12 of the greatest goalies in hockey history. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the channel. Big hockey guy, obviously big Red Wings fans. We just missed the playoffs. I'm a little upset about it, but can't be too upset. Young guys look good. The kids look good. But goalie is like my favorite position in the whole sport. Like I love watching the goalies. I love watching the good goalies because they are fun. and they make some ballsy saves. So this covers a bunch of different ones, all the way from like Roger Crozier, who was a Detroit Red Wings goalie, all the way up to Carey Price and, Marc-Andre Fleury, who is retiring this year. Just all these great goalies. My friend's mom got me this for my birthday because she knew about that. So yeah, that's on here too. Now we reach the last shelf here. Much of this is the same as the last time you probably saw it, at least over here. But I feel like this is all kind of new. So we'll go through this really quick, and then we'll focus a little more on here. I spent 18 minutes talking about the previous shelf, which is nuts. So maybe do this one a little clicker. So starting way over here, we have The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Not a massive fan of this one. However, I know that this was written when Hemingway had his deep struggles with alcohol. So it might not have been the best place to start. But maybe in the future I'll give him another shot. Next to that, we have Stella Maris and The Passenger by Cormac McCarthy. You can't separate these books, in my opinion. I love these. These were my number one read last year. I really want to reread The Passenger, so bad. And I might do it, and I might just skip the italicized sections about Alicia, because those ones are a little more confusing to me, but I love the story of Bobby. So, and I mean, you kind of have to have both, but yeah, those are here. And next up, we have Child of God. We have Outer Dark. Then we have Suttree. Then we have Blood Meridian. All the Pretty Horses. I actually bought this one so my wife could read it because she does not like the paper. She does not like hardcovers. I'm hoping she will one day. Not the hardcovers. I'm hoping she will read it. Then we have The Crossing. I got this one for myself so I could write in it because I don't want to do that in the Everyman's edition. Then we have No Country for Old Men. I reread this one last year. Just fantastic. Then we have The Road, which I'm not sure if I will read again until I maybe have a child. Just fantastic. I loved this book so much. It started the whole journey for me. The Road started my road of literature. So we have Faulkner, Big Woods, The Hunting Stories. So these are just stories collected from William Faulkner. You just got 4 of them there. I've tried reading The Bear a few times, but Faulkner is really difficult sometimes, and it makes me sad because I want to read him because I can feel the greatness in his writing as I read him, but it's a little intimidating. Hopefully this year I will get through at least one of his novels because I have quite a few here. So that's his short stories. The next to that, we have his novels from 1930 to 1935, which I believe was kind of the start of his career. So in this book, we have As I Lay Dying, Sanctuary, Light in August, and Pylon. Tried reading Sanctuary, got really confused, put it down. I've heard As I Lay Dying and Light in August are easier and better places to start with him. I thought Sanctuary would probably be a good place because I heard he wrote it to be a commercial success. But I was wrong. And then next to that, we have his novels from 1942 to 1954. This one includes, side note, Library of America still does this, where in all of their books, they include these little postcards where you can literally, you can order books through the mail from them. And I think it's so cute. And one day, maybe it'll be part of a video, I'm going to do that because I think it's adorable. This is something that you would think would just be rendered obsolete because of things like the internet, Amazon, things like that. But having this is it's charming. Sorry if you hear some clicking and clacking. My dog just got up from his little nap. But what I was saying is that this book has Go Down Moses, Intruder in the Dust, Requiem for a Nun, and a Fable. This one actually did come with its cover, and I was reading kind of the synopsises of the books, and they all sounded incredibly interesting. So, and it was my birthday, found this used, so I picked it up because I know eventually Faulkner will be an author that I'm going to cling to. It's just a matter of figuring out my brain, I guess. Then we have Flannery O'Connor's collected works. This one I got for super cheap because it's actually water damaged. Most of the book is fine, but once you get back into the other pages, you can see like the water just kind of shrunk them up a little bit, ruined them a little bit. But for the most part, these are good. Also, it's like, who cares? Like, you still get the literature. So $5 for a Library of America book that has almost all of her works in it. I'm gonna do it. So that we have Murr in his nature writings. John Murr, the father of the national parks, super based, like conservationist bro, who just wrote so much about his love for nature and kind of the importance of nature from back in the time when like the westward expansion was happening and all this other stuff was going on in America. So yeah, I love reading this guy. His essays are fantastic. Save the Redwoods was a really good one, especially if you've seen the Redwoods. This is The Western. I went and took back and sold a bunch of books to this bookstore, and this is what I was able to come home with. Oxbow Incident by Walter Van Tilburg Clark, The Searchers by Alan Lee May, Shane by Jack Schaefer, and Warlock by Oakley Hall, which I already have up here. But I love this. I love the collection. I think this has, based on like reading the synopsises on the inside here, this has kind of a taste of all types of westerns, where the Oxbow Incident is about a lynching gang and if they're justified or not and what they're doing. And Shane is more of like a traditional western. I don't know anything really. I don't remember anything about The Searchers, but Oakley Hall's Warlock, obviously kind of an anti-western in its own right. Plus the cover is just so, like, this one still has its dust jacket on because it's so pretty and so cute. I like when they have the artworks on here instead of just the black. And after that, we have Jack London's, this one came in a slipcase, Jack London's Novels and Stories. I read To Build a Fire this year and really loved it, and then was reading The Sea Wolf. But again, I just put it down for one reason or another. I was like about 150 pages into it, but these things happen, I've been very temperamental in my reading this year. What are you doing? Hey, you baby. Hey, you baby. Hey, you baby. Little ratty dog. And then next to that, we have John Steinbeck's, some of his collected novels from 1942 to 1952. This has things in it like Canary Row, East of Eden, The Pearl, The Moon is Down. I have not jumped into Steinbeck yet. I don't even know if I will. I should rephrase that. Never mind. I was going to say, because I got this originally for East of Eden, but I don't know if I want to do his like magnum opus first. So I'll probably read something like Canary Row prior to doing that. But yeah, this one also came in a slipcase. Also bought this one used. Buy used books. Support used bookstores. I mean, you can support the new ones too, but support used ones as well. Those guys are cool. Then we have Francis Parkman's The Oregon Trail and the Conspiracy of Pontiac. Which Francis Parkman was just a man who traveled, and this kind of documents his travels, but then he also explains the War of Pontiac, which is a thing that happened in Michigan, which is really interesting. So yeah. We have Mr. John Williams' collected novels. This has Butcher's Crossing, Stoner, and Augustus in it. I've not read Augustus yet, but Butcher's Crossing and Stoner, if you watched my last video, they made my top 5 reads of last year. Both just fantastic books. Stoner is another book I recommend to everyone because it is just chef's kiss. Next to that, we have the complete novels of Jane Austen in these modern library editions, which I love, but these are kind of hard to find. I don't know if they make these anymore, but I only see these in used bookstores. So this first edition, or volume rather, has Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Mansfield Park in here. And then the second volume has Emma, Northanger Abbey, and Persuasion. I've heard such great things about Jane, and my wife is a big fan, so eventually, everything is always eventually, I'd like to get to this. Then this next one was a crazy find.
at a Salvation Army, and it's in near perfect condition. And the dust jacket it came with was also in near perfect condition. We have War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Now this is just the Constance Garnett translation. But yeah, this is like no writing in here, no real defects on the pages. I mean, the ends are dirty, but you can clean that off with sandpaper. So yeah, I just, for $1, I was like, of course, you know, I gotta pick that up. I have no idea when I will read this one, because it's just like, I've heard this book can take people over a year to read, and that's quite a commitment, but maybe that's what I need right now, because I have not I've not finished a single book this year.
Well, beloved, that is the updated bookshelf tour. I love you. Thank you for stopping in. Go read books. Get off your phone, which is what I'm going to do right now after I'm editing this video. And I'm going to read. I'm going to read some White Noise by Don DeLillo, which I'm quite enjoying. So I love you. God bless you. Happy Easter. Happy Pascha. And we will see you in the next video, whenever that may be.